Hello everyone, welcome back to one of my videos. I'm Mr. Luiggy. This is my channel, Mr. Luiggy, where you learn English very easily. Today I want to teach you the verb to be, but in order to do so, first of all, we have to learn subject pronouns. So if you stay tuned, you're going to learn a lot today. Okay, the very first thing that we need to do is to learn about the subject pronouns, okay? These are personal pronouns. What is a pronoun? First of all, a pronoun is a word that we use to replace a person or a thing, okay? Instead of saying Luis, my name is Luis, right? I'm gonna use I, okay? So I replaces a person in this case, okay? So each pronoun replaces someone, in most cases people, right? Or in this case a thing, or a thing, right? Or an animal, as we will see in a moment. Why are they called subject pronouns? Because, well, they occupy this position in a sentence before the verb, and they execute the action, right, denoted by the verb, or the experience that the verb, or that the meaning of the verb carries, right? So we have different pronouns. I is the first one, okay? This is the way we pronounce it, I, okay? How do we pronounce you? We pronounce it with our tongue very near the roof of our mouth, okay? So we say you, okay? This is what it means, you, right? And then he is a pronoun for the masculine, okay? We use he to refer to men, to boys. So we say he, okay? This is the sound, he, right? And then she, as when we make the sound sh, okay? She, this is the pronoun we use with feminine reference to refer to women, right? And it is an impersonal pronoun. I use these two to refer to people, but it is a pronoun that is used to refer to animals or things, okay? And these, of course, are singular. First person singular, second person singular, and third person singular, okay? So this group of pronouns belong to the third person singular. Now we have the first person plural, the second person plural, and the third person plural, okay? We, right? This is how we pronounce it, we, okay? You, right? And they, okay? So we have 8 different pronouns, but actually they are 7. Why? Because you is repeated here. You is the second person singular, right? So you in this case is the second person plural. And when we learn the verb to be, you will get to understand that the context makes it clear. I mean, whether you refers to a singular, to the singular form, or to a plural form, right? Great, so you have just learned the personal pronouns, okay? The first I, singular, we is plural, right? For example, me and my mom, I'm gonna say we, right? You would be, for example, you, the viewer, you and your family, that will be plural. And they is when we refer to a third person, but plural, okay? Like my mom and my dad, they are my parents, okay? So we are going to learn the verb to be. English is very easy, unlike other languages in which we have many verb forms or a different form for each of the pronouns. In English, the verb to be only has 3 forms. Unlike other languages, English is very easy because in other languages, verbs usually have a form for each pronoun, right? But in this case, English only has, in the verb to be, 3 forms, okay? So in that sense, it is very easy. What I want to say is that the verb to be has 3 forms, am, is, and are, okay? So I can say, I am Luis, right? Luis is my name, actually, okay? Or you can say, you are a good friend. I is always used with the verb form am, and you is always used with the verb form are. You are a good friend. I cannot say you am or I are. That would be completely wrong, okay? But with the third person singular, he, she, and it, I use the form is, okay? He is a doctor, right? She is beautiful, or it is black, okay? So we have for the first, second, and third person plural, the verb form is also are. So you, we, and they are used with the verb form are. So we are in Canada, right? Or you are good friends, right? Or they are here, okay? So bear in mind that in this case, the verb is in its full form, but we can have a short form. If you pay attention to that part of the board, it says short forms. The short form of the verb is actually a contraction, and contractions happen when we speak, because when we speak, we push words together, okay? And while pushing them, we create, right, this contraction. What does it consist of? Usually, we have the pronoun plus the verb, but they come together by means of an apostrophe. So I say, I'm Luis, right? Whereas here I say, I am Luis. The pronunciation is affected when I let's say, merge these two words. I'm Luis, I'm, okay? Instead of saying, you are a good friend, I can say, you're a good friend, or you're happy. Look there. Instead of saying, you are happy, it says, you're happy. Here, instead of saying, he is a doctor, we say, he's William, he's a doctor, he's, okay? It's not his, but his, right? She is beautiful. Instead of saying she is beautiful, I can say she's beautiful, she's. Instead of saying she is in Peru, when I create this contraction, I'm gonna pronounce it this way. She's in Peru, she's, right? It is black. I can say it's black, it's black. Or instead of it is a city, I can say it's a city, it's a city, right? And for this group of pronouns, we pronounce it just the same way as I said a moment ago. Instead of saying we are in Canada, we can say we're in Canada, we are in Canada. Or we're late. Instead of saying we are late, we're late, okay? Or instead of saying you are good friends, I can say you're good friends. You're very kind. Instead of saying you are very kind, I can say you're very kind, right? Instead of saying they are here, I can say they're here, or they're lawyers, right? Okay, very good. What is it that we have just seen? We have just seen the affirmative form of the verb to be, okay? How we make the statements, okay? But in this case, what we are going to revise now, what we are going to learn actually, is the negative form of the verb to be. A moment ago, I said, I am Luis, or I'm Luis, okay? And this is a positive statement. But if I want to turn it into a negative statement, the only thing I need to do is to add not, okay? So a moment ago, a positive statement was, I am Luis. Now, to make it negative, I can say, I am not Luis. Okay, it's very easy, and probably this is the first time that you hear this concept. The concept is auxiliary, right? What is an auxiliary verb? An auxiliary verb is a verb that helps us negate or make a question, right? And in this case, the verb to be is an auxiliary because it is helping us to negate a positive statement, right? And at the same time, we can also make questions, as we will see in a moment. So I say, I am not Luis, right? Or you are not a good friend. You are not a good friend, okay? I just add not after the verb to be. Or he is not a doctor. She is not beautiful. It is not black, okay? It's very, very simple. Or we are not in Canada, you are not good friends, they are not here, okay? This is the conventional form. The verb and the negative particle are complete there. Nothing is missing, right? But if you pay attention to that part of the board, it says short forms, right? Okay, when it comes to short forms, okay, just as with the positive sentences, with the positive form of the verb, we could join, let's say, the personal pronoun and the verb. In this case, we are going to bring together the verb and the negative particle, okay? But this cannot happen with the form of the verb to be am, right? So if I want to say something short, when I may create a negative sentence, I can do this. I'm not. I cannot do something absurd such as I amn't, because I cannot join it, right? But if you pay attention there to that part of the board, the right form to bring together the verb and the negative particle is by means of an apostrophe. And I say aren't, isn't. This is what happens in speech. Aren't is the right form, short form, and isn't as well for these two forms of the verb to be, right? So I've written down an example there. It says, you aren't. I can say, you aren't my friend, right? But I wrote down an alternative there, you're not, because that is also possible, and that happens a lot in speech, okay? Or he isn't, right? He isn't, yes, in this case, he isn't a doctor. Or I can say he's not a doctor, right? But if I want to bring the verb and the negative particle together, the right form would be aren't or isn't, okay? English is very, very easy. Well, great. Now, what is it we are going to learn? How to make a question with the verb to be, how to make questions, right? It's very simple. English, as I said a moment ago, is a very simple language. The only thing we need to do is to reverse the order of the elements in the sentence. So we are going to begin with the verb to be as an auxiliary. Remember, I said that an auxiliary is a word that helps us create negative sentences or to make questions. In this case, the verb to be can do this on its own, right? So I can say, am I in Mexico, right? The affirmative sentence, an affirmative statement would be, I am in Mexico, right? A negative one would be, I'm not in Mexico, right? But now for the question, what I do, I bring the verb to be first, the auxiliary first, then a pronoun, and then what follows. So I say, am I in Mexico, right? I know it's difficult to think of a context for this question, but probably you are traveling and suddenly you wake up and you say, am I in Mexico, right? In that case, it would be a good question, but I know it's difficult to think of a context for this question, but then you can say, are you at the school? Are you at the school? Okay, are you a student? This is the idea behind this question. So we begin using the verb to be first and then the pronoun and then what follows, okay? The same happens with is. Is he a teacher? Is she in London? Is it a city, right? Always with rising intonation. Is she a teacher, right? Is it a city, okay? And then the last examples, are we safe here? Are you good friends? Are they your parents, okay? So always placing the auxiliary first plus the pronoun and whatever follows, right? Now, how do we answer these questions? Remember that whenever we begin with an auxiliary verb, we look for a yes, no type of answer, right? So this is a format of question for yes, no question. This is how we call them, yes, no questions. When we begin with the auxiliary and we want to find out, let's say, whether something is positive or negative in response to these questions. So if you pay attention there, we have short answers, right? This is the way we answer these questions. If I say, am I in Mexico? I can probably check and say, yes, I am, right? The affirmative form is always answered with the full verb. I cannot say, yes, I'm. That would be wrong. I should say, yes, I am, okay? In the negative form, I have an alternative, and I can say, no, no, I am not, or no, I'm not, okay? For example, consider what happens with the verb, this verb form, is. I can say, is he a teacher? Yes, he is, with the full form in the positive statement. Yes, he is. I cannot use the short form we've seen a moment ago. I cannot say yes, he's, right? Is she in London? No, she isn't. With the negative, I do have a choice. No, she isn't, or no, she's not. No, she's not, okay? And with the form are we safe here? This is what the example says. I can say, yes, we are, but I cannot use the short form and say, yes, we're, okay? Are we safe here? I can say, no, we aren't, or no, we're not. What we know as short form actually are the forms isn't and aren't, okay? But I do write those alternatives like it's not, like no, she's not, or no, we're not, because they are very common as well, and they do happen in speech. Later on in the following video, you will get to learn about WH questions with the verb be, and it's going to be really useful, so accompany me, stay tuned so that you can keep on learning with me, Mr. Luiggy.